What's going on, guys? Today we're back with a new video, and in today's video DayZ version 1.10 came out onto stable, so we're going to run through all the patch notes and show off all the new features that have been added to the game. Just before this video starts, I'm going to be live streaming the update at 8 PM GMT time today. If you're wanting to see it live and see what the gameplay is like, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell button, or join the Discord down below to be notified when the stream goes live. I'm going to be streaming it on YouTube, and if you can't make it to the stream, the stream will go up as a video later on in the live stream playlist, so you can go down there and check it out. So again, we got a ton of added stuff, ton of fixed stuff, ton of changed stuff, so we're going to run through it all. I'm going to go through the added stuff first. So they've added the M3S truck covered variant and associated vehicle parts. They've added abandoned M3S truck wrecks to the maps with spawning parts. They've added a respawn dialogue offering an option to spawn with a random or main menu character. Shows only when the server has disabled respawn dialogue parameters set to 0. Added localization for Brazilian and Portuguese. You can now break player's lower leg. Damage is applied by falling or brute forced. Walking/fighting with a broken leg will result in shock damage. Added the signal pistol and its ammo in various colors. Added the crafted splint. Added crafted tan leather using garden lime. Added crafted leather backpack. Added crafted improvised shelter. added tarp material. They've added the ability to replace room parts on tents, like windows and doors. Added the pipe wrench. You can now repair a damaged car engine with the pipe wrench. You can now repair parts of the vehicle chassis with epoxy putty. Clothing items now have an indicator for installation value. Exposure to wind makes your character freeze more. Forests can provide cover. Food decays over time. Item dries up over time when you put it on the ground or in cargo spaces on the ground. Proximity to a fireplace is no longer required, but the area of the fireplace dries items faster. Items cool down over time in the player's inventory and on the ground. Added a heat buffer to supply an overtime heat bonus to the thermal comfort of the player's character. You receive a temporary heat bonus after spending time near a fireplace. Added a smoking slot to several types of fireplaces used to dry meat. Added additional coastline details between Prison Island and Ostrog, making the sea traversal easier and more interesting. Punching now deals damage to gloves and can cause bleeding to bare hands. Added a visual effect increasing shock damage, both reflecting getting hit and current state. Added damage when jumping out of a running vehicle, also including a chance of broken legs and death. Added new heat haze effect for the fireplace flare, road flare and torch. So a lot of new stuff being added, great stuff being added, so we're going to go on and through all the fixed stuff now. Fixed an issue that prevented the player from combining stacks of items from their inventory with the second stack being in their vicinity. A gas stove plus a canister plus frying pan or pot attached could be stacked infinitely. Item wetting / drying was not taking into account attachments and nested inventories. Sawed-off weapons now have a short weapon length when it comes to collision with walls. Fixed an issue preventing the player from detaching their magazine. Loading ammo into a weapon using the hold on quickbar always loaded with only one bullet. Fix an issue restoring a rag to pristine state after being used as a gag. Dead bodies of players now fall through walls less often. It's now more intuitive to locate the inventory of dead bodies. It was possible to consume pills and other items when they were ruined. It was not possible to place traps, barrels or crates on slopes. It was possible to wash bloody hands even while wearing gloves. It was possible to get sick by drinking, eating when the player had gloves or and bloody hands. Dried raw meat would still trigger diseases. Locked doors were not saved correctly when opened by force, making them lock themselves after a server restart. Water particles were appearing when hitting a player that is on an object above the sea. The player was able to fish through pliers. Climbing on an object while it was being deleted could teleport the player. A Gunter 2 was spawning badly in Savino. It was not possible to attach detached headlights on the Sarka 120 and Gunter 2 from the vicinity. Gunter 2 lights were not visibly glowing. Grass was not flattened when driven over with a vehicle. Fixed a bug causing a stuck item widget. Text was overlapping or cut off in tutorial screens in certain languages and resolutions. Fixed a server crash connected to user actions. The player could use materials gained from decrafting ruined construction kits. It was possible to build watchtowers on top of each other. Swapping an item in the hands of the inventory during an action with the right timing caused the head to disappear. It was not possible to wash hands in the sea. It was not possible to swap items in hands under certain circumstances when it could be possible. It was not possible to swap small items when having heavy items in hand. It was possible to induce desync of the hand slot by interrupting specific actions. Wearing the great helmet would not change the player's voice. Swapping the last attachment of a fireplace would always give the max quantity of item instead of the current. The fireplace sound was still playing when going back to it after it had died out while the player was far away from it. It could also work for flies stuck above dead player's body. It was possible to overstack wooden sticks using a fireplace. Fixed an issue with firewood disappearing when put into the indoor oven or fireplace. Fixed an issue where the player could use ruined attachments in base building objects to build parts. Fixed melee attacks to legs could sometimes deal damage to the head instead. Fixed an issue that allowed players to duplicate rags using quickbar. Fixed an issue with stamina sometimes draining completely when holding breath while aiming down sight. The inventory could not be opened while force vomiting through the gesture wheel. While stakes showed the wrong texture. Added the missing engine to the Ada Rex. Fixed wrong decals on Legacy Police Ogla Rec. Fixed various object placement fixes for both Trenorus and Livonia terrains. Fixed sound issues related to doors in several buildings. Certain airfield objects were glowing at night. Fixed window collision in several buildings. It is no longer possible to climb through a broken staircase on the industrial silo. It was possible to open city store back doors at certain pieces of furniture in the front of the building. So a lot of stuff has been fixed. Absolute ton of stuff. A ton of stuff has also been changed, so let's get through it as quickly as possible. Adjusted the base temperature behavior to be more authentic: warm afternoons, cold mornings. Wind chill, fog and altitude penalties are not applied to the local environment temperature if a player is inside a building. Being under a roof provides a lower local environment temperature bonus than being inside a building. Increase the effect of altitude on the local environment temperature around the player. Cloud cover increases the base environment temperature more. Adjusted the default comfort temperature of the player character, now 26 degrees Celsius. Balance the heat insulation values of clothing items. Balance the maximum wetness level of clothing items. The damage state and wetness of clothing impacts their heat insulation. Lower the max wetness value on the plate carrier and press vest and tactical vest. Items inside other items will only get wet when the container is soaked or drenched. Automated drying of clothing not wringing out is now less effective. Character speed has a larger impact on the overall heat comfort. Backpack is now taken into account for the heat comfort. The armband was removed. Lower the energy penalty in the lower warning cold state. Lower the maximum energy buffer of the player. Pickaxe can be used to dig hidden stashes. You can now open food cans with the handsaw. You can now skin animals with axes, saws, a pickaxe, a crowbar and the screwdriver. Remove skinning from the show as it was causing a conflict with the berry action. Reduce the usability of duct tape for certain items. Clothing will no longer get badly damaged during the initial spawn. Tools will no longer get damaged during the initial spawn. Tools damage due to crafting is now consistent across recipes. Balance tool damage across actions. Reduce damage done by tools by burying ashes in the player's bodies by 60%. Increase the health of a stone knife, steak knife and kitchen knife. Increase the durability of whetstone. Sharpening knives cost less durability than sharpening axes. Reduce the melee damage against animals. Adjusted the item drops for animals. Damage to individual vehicle stones will be displayed in the UI when you look at them. Occurrence of arrows from bleeding in the HUD. Now more progressive instead of nothing and then 3 arrows. Adjusted lard consumption: when cooking, 1 full lard can be used for 8 pieces of baked meat. It is no longer possible to dry meat by cooking it on lower temperatures, replaced by smoking slot and stoves. Increase the speed of cooking when using the direct cooking slots. Boathouse doors are now twin doors instead of single. Resize the heat pack to 1x2 in the inventory. Animal meat will fill your stomach more. Increase the nutritional value of farmed vegetables. Increase the overall energy values of fruits, vegetables and mushrooms. Any drinking, eating with bloody hands bears the risk of infecting the player with salmonella. The influenza disease is generally slower in increase and has a slower immune response to it. Antibiotics are now weaker and have a slower tick sync with the disease. Gloria takes longer to build up and disappear, penalty scaled with disease progression and higher resistance against immunity. The build-up of a salmonella disease is faster, will activate sooner, and the penalties are scaled with the progression of the disease. Charcoal taps now have a slower tick and delayed response in fighting salmonella. Applying saline adds hydration in addition to blood. Vitamin pills can be combined but not split. Medication can be split and combined. Higher player character immunity levels are easier to get. Requirements on water and energy lowered, and they now correspond to the UI badges too. The tents packing actually is now continuous. No more instant packing of tents. Trees now drop long wooden sticks instead of small wooden sticks. Engine of all cars are now more durable thanks to the decreased transfer of damage to them. Tweak the main menu character customization menu to better explain what a customized character means. So again, another ton of absolute changes there. Great again. There is some stuff to the central economy they also changed. Lifetime of items were lowered across the board. 2 days has become 8 hours, 1 day has become 4 hours. This change make up to 3 days to be in effect on official servers. Fix an issue of the bear not spawning properly in all cases when using the offline database. Disable the spawning of berries. Pepper, potato, tomato and zucchini can now appear also in dried and rotten state. Affected on the coast of Charters have higher chances of dropping various items such as tools, clothing and food. There is also some stuff there for servers, launcher and modding, but I'm not going to run through them. So again, an absolute ton of stuff's been added. This update is probably one of the best they've ever added to the game. So I'll be again streaming this later on at 8 PM GMT time, so be sure to be there, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell button so you will be notified when the stream goes live, or join the Discord and you'll be notified in there as well. But until then, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I should catch you guys in the next one. So peace out for now.